For me, it's the reselling of old used clothes. I saw an advertisement on television for an app called Poshmark. I looked it up. It's just a website and app specifically designed for women to trade and buy their old used clothes. I also see on Instagram that at least 9 women, with whom I am mutual friends, have separate Instagram accounts dedicated to selling their old clothes. Personally, being a guy, when my used, worn-out clothes completely disintegrate, I know for a fact that they won't be worn by another guy. Those clothes are going in the trash. Anyways, gentlemen, how was your Sunday? Story 1. Women don't wear clothes to waste them. They wear them until they no longer want them, and they are usually still in great condition. Poshmark and Depop are online thrift stores where you can earn money instead of losing it by donating old clothes. Story 2. We buy most clothes to wear them daily. Our used dresses are considered used until they are no longer in good condition. Many women buy clothes because a specific dress might be cute for a particular event. However, after a couple of years, they realize they have only worn that dress twice. It is much cheaper to buy secondhand items for that purpose, and it's even more economical if you sell those clothes too. Story 3. As a woman and a casual reseller on eBay, I must inform you that my sales are approximately 60% women and 40% men for clothing. Let's say you start a new job in a garage and need a pair of coveralls. Why pay $55 online for a pair when you can buy them from me for $25 plus shipping? I bought them for $6 at a rummage sale, so I profit $19, you save $20, and we both achieved 2 things. Kept more clothes out of landfills and demonstrated our disdain for sweatshops. I do very well selling vintage Levi's and Wranglers, vintage Western wear, and lower high-end leather dress shoes. I wash everything, repair any necessary sewing, and polish the shoes before posting. I enjoy working with clothing. I've been sewing for about 30 years now, and have become particularly interested in restoring leather dress shoes in the past year. Story 4. My wife and her friends read dark graphic romance novels where the men are violent and unhinged. Reading explicit scenes for entertainment is strange enough, but that takes it to another level. I hear them discussing their books, and I wonder, are you all okay? Story 5. A lot of clothes in Posh are higher end. They are not going in the thrift bin without a return on investment. I find many kids' items there, which are higher end and good quality, but they will be outgrown sooner rather than later. Story 6. Well, everyone is discussing trading clothes and ignoring the original poster's question. I believe the original poster understands why women resell clothing. That's obvious. They are wondering why women do not wear clothes more than 3 times before getting rid of them. Story 7. Creating imaginary fairy tale stories about what others think, feel, or want, and then acting on those assumptions without ever attempting to confirm their guesses first. Story 8. If they tell you that they are hungry or want to do something and you ask them what they feel like eating or where they want to go, and they say they do not care, then get mad at you for whatever you choose. Story 9. I know several people, myself included, who have bought used clothes. I have donated a lot of used clothes as well. I don't see anything wrong with that. Other than that, I just woke up, am about to fix some food, and watch a few episodes of Resident Alien. To answer the title question, I can't really think of anything women do that I can't comprehend. The things I find hard to understand about human behavior are related to people in general. Story 10. It takes much longer for them to exit their vehicle once parked. It is rare for a woman to leave the car at the same time as I do. I can park, unbuckle, gather my belongings, get out, and reach their side before most female passengers have even started to unbuckle themselves. Generally, they appear to hesitate more between tasks, extending the time between one action and the next. I don't know why. Story 11. Hybristophilia refers to a fascination with individuals who commit violent acts, not just serial killers but also random criminals. One description I've heard is, I have a thing for guys that look like they would kill my dog. I understand the evolutionary theories behind it and can comprehend the excitement of danger aspect, yet I still find myself shaking my head in confusion. Story 12. Because they don't wear their clothes out, they can be reused. Have you never seen a Goodwill? Story 13. Oversharing involves discussing relationships and intimate matters. If it pertains to me, Please refrain from discussing it in detail with your friends. Story 14. Tangentially, I like Poshmark as a guy. It is great for items like kids' shoes, which they inevitably outgrow before wearing them out. I also bought a vintage watch for myself on the platform, and it was extremely easy. It is a cool platform. Story 15. I think this indicates a general lack of understanding about women. This is not a strange or difficult concept to grasp. Story 16. This post is unhelpful. It consists of people reiterating the used clothing market. Did no one notice that there was an actual question in the title? Story 17. I can help you understand. Many women buy far more clothes than they need, don't wear them out, wear them only a few times, and sometimes don't wear them at all. Clothes can be expensive, so it makes sense to sell items of clothing that are no longer wanted or needed on the secondhand market, such as Vint, Poshmark, eBay, and Facebook Marketplace. Clothing agencies, which are shops that sell your clothes for you, have existed for years, as have secondhand charity shops. It's very different for me trying to sell a pair of men's jeans with a worn-out crotch or shirts with worn-out collars. Our genuinely worn-out clothes, such as t-shirts, leggings, and underwear, go straight in the bin or recycling and often end up in landfill just like other items. It's amazing how many new or nearly new clothes you can pick up at a fraction of the original price, especially from big brands. Story 18. I am a man, and I buy a large portion of my clothing from thrift stores or similar reseller services like Poshmark. I don't buy fancy clothing. I prefer flannels, t-shirts, and shorts. I have a few shirts I've worn until they are completely falling apart. But mostly, changing into new clothes and washing them doesn't wear them out much, excluding old t-shirts I use for working outside. This isn't exclusive to women. It's for anyone who wants to save money. Why would I spend $15 to $20 per shirt when I could spend less than $5? Story 19. I have sold many old clothes online. I lost a lot of weight, so my nice items no longer fit. I miss some of the shirts because they are no longer made and are now very expensive secondhand. Story 20. Because they want a $1,000 handbag but cannot afford it, they can pay $200 and get the same bag on Poshmark. The same goes for a $1,000 retail dress. Story 21. Your brain cannot comprehend this because you are not a woman. We do not wear clothes until they wear out and look like one big hole. We have beautiful clothes that sometimes we just do not want to wear anymore. And rather than throwing them out or letting them take up space, it is nice to earn some cash back as well as give them a new purpose in someone else's wardrobe. Best wishes. Story 22. Thrifting has been a common practice long before it had a name. Both women and men participate in it, acquiring various items such as clothes, shoes, handbags, tools, and kitchenware. It is important to donate items that are in new or good condition, transforming a widely practiced activity into a stereotype suggesting that it is irrational simply because it has gained popularity among women is strange. Story 23. Women typically do not wear their clothes until they are falling apart, unlike most men. It seems like a great opportunity to trade or sell clothes that are still wearable. Story 24. Weird perspective on Poshmark. As a man, I have purchased many clothes from Poshmark. Honestly, it is a great way to find vintage clothing or specific pieces for costumes. I have never sold old clothes on Poshmark, but I have sold items I do not wear often to various vintage and thrift shops. Some individuals prefer to look sharp and will not wear their clothing until it is worn out, regardless of gender. That is perfectly fine. Additionally, people gain and lose weight or buy items for special occasions that simply sit in their closets. Story 25. Nobody is selling used Hanes underwear on these sites. If I have a $4,000 Tom Ford suit that I wore once in my life, and I can now get $2,000 for it used, I would take that opportunity right away. On the other hand, I need to attend an upscale wedding and do not own any formal clothes. I could buy an Eton shirt for $40, a Tom Ford suit for $2,000, and Allen Edmonds shoes for $200. I would jump at that chance. I personally think it is a fantastic idea, especially for women. Many times, these dresses have only been worn once or twice. Story 26. Reading gay male romances, including shifters, male pregnancy, and reverse harem, reveals that the vast majority of them are written by women. This genre is known as boy love. Story 27. For the women I have dated, it is the reality television shows that I find unappealing. Even my wife enjoys a few bad ones, but I will never understand their appeal. Story 28. I have tried many times, but I just do not understand the shoes. Some men do it too now with expensive trainers, but I still don't get it. What's so interesting about footwear? Story 29. Look at the women's section at any department store or online store. They have 3 to 4 times the selection as men. Of course, they get more clothes and have more in rotation. Trends move faster too, so they aren't wearing clothes until they disintegrate, thus creating a secondary market. Story 30. Choosing unsuitable partners repeatedly and then continuously complaining about these specific choices being problematic. Story 31. Expect their minds to be read. I understand that they just want an easier, more enjoyable life, and they want to be known, understood, and loved. However, many people expect others to know what they want, what is acceptable, what is not, what to do, what to say, and how they feel, often without providing more than a hint or a look. Many live in a fantasy where statements like, "If he loved me, he would know," or "If he doesn't pick up on my subtle signal, then he is either ignorant, afraid, or not interested, and we are not meant to be," are common. They might also believe it is common knowledge that you are supposed to, followed by behaviors that are not widely recognized. It seems they expect the entire world to change to suit their preferences. Meanwhile, they often claim, "I am not a mind reader," or ask, "How am I supposed to know?" Story 32. Behaving like a spoiled child with their partners shows a lack of understanding about the stress it causes. There are significant double standards in heterosexual relationships. Bisexual women, to some extent, tend to have higher expectations and standards for men than for women. This reflects a certain level of sexism towards men. It is contradictory to demand traditional male gender roles while simultaneously claiming that gender roles are harmful. Do these rules not apply to men? Story 33. Items on Poshmark are in excellent condition. Women are not selling worn underwear with damaged elastic or stains. Story 34. Women are selling and trading gently used clothing, as well as items like purses and other accessories. They are not putting out worn clothes with stains and holes. Perhaps they are simply tired of a particular item or it comes from a previous fashion season. Why not pass it along to someone who would appreciate it? Story 35. I know several people, myself included, who have bought used clothes. I have also donated many used clothes and don't see anything wrong with that. Other than that, I just woke up and I'm about to make some food and watch a few episodes of Resident Alien. Story 36. Using that cutesy voice to ask me for something is not endearing. It feels coercive, and I am less likely to assist someone when it is used. Story 37. Create a story in their mind about what is happening that is unrelated to reality. For instance, you might have a conversation with her where you say one thing, but in her mind, you said something entirely different. As a bonus, consider this. She wakes up upset with you over something you did in her dream. I have experienced being blamed because she dreamed that I was with my ex. Story 38. They blame the majority of men they do not date or interact with for their negative outcomes, while the men who actually hurt them are the ones they are dating or being intimate with. The cognitive dissonance and deflection are astonishing. Story 39. Those applications are like thrift stores but online. I wear my clothes for a long time too, but I also don't have many. Women tend to have more varied outfits that don't get worn as often, especially if they enjoy shopping for new items for fun. It seems like a great way to reduce the significant amount of waste produced by fast fashion. Story 40. Like being a guy, when my used and worn out clothes completely disintegrate, I know for a fact that those clothes won't be worn by another guy. You may not have seen what some people spend money on. I went to an antique store with my partner because she enjoys vintage items. There was a booth with old clothes that almost all had either paint stains or holes. They were priced higher than I have ever spent on brand new clothes. I suggested to my partner that we should sell some of my old work clothes that she always tells me to throw away because they have holes and stains. She says they probably wouldn't sell unless they were considered vintage. Story 41. I buy items on Poshmark frequently. It's a great way to acquire expensive clothing at a low cost. I am also considering selling some of my items there since I no longer wear them. Story 42. I have seen many people sell on reselling sites. I also resell, and all the clothes I sell are new or like new. There are several reasons to resell, not because I have worn my clothes to the ground. Story 43. Mysticism has existed since the beginning of human history, and it is a common phenomenon. However, I struggle to understand how so many women can believe in astrology, magical healing crystals, manifestation, and ghosts. These concepts are fantastical and playful ideas, clearly rooted in imagination. Yet, many women embrace them wholeheartedly. Story 44. Women's bodies change frequently, and clothes often do not show much wear for that reason. I know many women who buy a completely new wardrobe every year, and some do it every season. They may have worn those clothes only a few times. That is not nearly enough to dispose of them. While I do not do this, I am aware that many women do. Thrift stores exist, and they offer a variety of clothing, including men's clothing. You can find some really good items there. It's not a foreign or new concept. Story 45. I have some dresses that I've paid over $1,000 for, some 3 times that amount. I will wear them once, maybe twice for special events, and then not be able to wear them again due to being in the public eye a lot. Men can wear the same thing every single day, and no one bats an eyelid, but God forbid a woman recycles an outfit. So I resell them. I'm in large groups dedicated to specific dress designers and selling dresses that have been worn very little. I've even purchased some that have been worn by others. Men wear their clothes until they could float away in a stiff breeze. I sell clothes that are in as new condition. Story 46. Send intimate pictures and invite you over in the middle of the night, then say they don't want to engage sexually after you drive an hour to see them. Then, when you don't touch her as she requested, she asks, "So when are you going to be intimate with me?" Story 47. Women may undermine their friends' and best friends' relationships out of envy. Instead of feeling happy for their friends who are content, they may actively seek to disrupt their friends' joyful situations to ensure that they all experience misery and singleness together. Story 48. Women are different. They don't have lucky underwear and don't wear their clothes until they are threadbare. Let women be women. The mystery is part of the attraction. Story 49. We often buy things that do not suit us or fit well. Women's clothing is much more varied than men's clothing, and we may feel guilty about wanting to buy new items, leading us to sell the things we barely wore to alleviate that guilt. I see men doing the same with video games, purchasing new ones for variety but ultimately preferring the tried and true. They rarely play the new games and eventually list them for sale when they want to try something else. Story 50. Poshmark is similar to an online thrift store. I have noticed that men are less active on that platform, but they are very active on Depop, which is quite similar. I sell my husband's clothes there regularly, and they sell quickly to men looking for a deal or unique pieces. I take good care of my items, and they are in good condition when I sell them. You are correct that no one wants to buy poor quality clothing, but I'm confused why you think we are selling low quality items instead of high quality used clothing that no longer fits or that we no longer want. Story 51. I don't understand how they can live and believe lies, often encouraging you to play a part and deceive them. The concept of being self-aware and delusional at the same time is perplexing. It genuinely confuses me. Story 52. As a woman, I sometimes have clothes I have hardly worn that might still have some value which I can obtain by selling instead of donating when I am finished with them or when I know I will not wear them. If the item does not sell, I donate the gently used clothing. I am not selling heavily worn clothes. I am selling barely worn, gently used items. Story 53. Date. Guys who dislike pants with no pockets often continue to buy them. They never ask a guy which hairstyle they prefer, then get a haircut and expect us to 1. Notice and 2. Like whatever style they choose. They also expect men to notice their shoes, think baby talk is cute, and find it attractive when playing games like, I shouldn't have to tell you. Story 54. It is interesting that in the thrift shops in my city, at least half of the used or recycled clothes are for men. However, that must be impossible, as you suggest, because apparently men do not engage in this, correct? Story 55. I don't know. My old clothes get reused. They go into the rag bag and then into the workshop to either clean my hands or for projects I am working on. Story 56. The entire makeup and fashion industry makes no sense to me and seems like a huge waste of money to look foolish. I also need to comment on jewelry. It is dangerous, unsanitary, expensive, and items like diamonds are unethical to purchase. The practice of buying engagement and wedding rings seems absurd to me. As for extravagant weddings, why not just get married at a courthouse or a park? Spending $10,000 on a wedding feels wasteful when that money could be used for more practical purposes like paying bills, a down payment on a house, or a honeymoon. I would be fine if I never attended another wedding again. Story 57. Women on a night out often go to the restroom together, using the same stall and chatting for a long time, even with strangers. This is completely foreign to me. When I make eye contact with a man in the restroom, I simply nod to say hello and then leave. Story 58. I think it depends on how you dress. I don't do manual labor or work at the cottage in nice clothes, so they have held up. I have been meaning to list a few of my suits that I have outgrown because I know I will never fit into them again. For me, it is the throw pillows and decorative items that cannot really be used and just get in the way. Story 59. I sell my son's worn clothing on Poshmark for more than retail. Surprising. My husband calls it buying credibility. The most expensive item I've sold was an old Harley-Davidson chambray denim shirt that was completely spatter-bleached from power washing decks and has permanent stains. I sold it for $65. The person who bought it returned and purchased 2 pairs of permanently stained jeans with patched knees, but in good condition for $25 each. People are truly unpredictable, but I'm happy to take their money. Story 60. And don't forget discontinued items like those from Victoria's Secret. I've bought nightgowns from Poshmark that were discontinued. Story 61. How can you possibly like drama? I would rather watch paint dry than listen to the difficulties in other people's dating lives. I will never understand it. Story 62. Wow, look at Richie Rich over here. It's not about women. It's about people in need. They often believe they have discovered treasure in someone else's discarded items. They think they can profit from it when they're finished. I see them in this discussion trying to act like they are saving the planet. Story 63. The level of concern they have for the opinions of complete strangers and the obsession with following trends do not make any sense at all. Story 64. This should have been on the Ask Women forum, but let's face it, that one is overly monitored and there's not much leeway for understanding different perspectives there. Ask Men is restoring my hope for humanity. Story 65. Yeah, that's not how Poshmark works. It's mostly mid and high-end labels that are gently worn. In fact, it's a requirement that the items must be in good condition. Story 66. I am a woman, and I wear my yard clothes casually, but I rarely wear my evening dresses. If I do not plan to wear them for any reason, such as having lost or gained weight, not liking them anymore, or not having a place to wear them, I will sell them and recoup a percentage of the money. Story 67. Agonize over tiny, inconsequential details that don't matter in the grand scheme of things. It doesn't matter if our toaster is red or black or doesn't fit the color scheme of the house. Does it toast bread? Yes? Okay, let's get it. Story 68. I wear my clothes until they are completely worn out, and then I use them as rags in the shop. One thing women do which I can't comprehend is playing mind games. The most common one is, I'm mad at you but won't tell you why, and if you can't read my mind, it's going to get worse. Another is, I'm going to tell you I'm fine, but I'm not, and if you believe what I say, I'll be mad at you. Then there's the classic, I'll say I'm okay with something, but I'm not, and you'll suffer for it because you didn't magically know I meant the opposite of what I said. I'm sure you can come up with more examples. Why do they engage in behavior like that? Story 69. I might be explaining this poorly because I just don't understand it. Please correct me and let me know what she is doing. She is doing her nails. It's a simple concept. File and pamper, add some polish, right? Wrong. She is using scissors to cut the flesh around the edge of her nail. Why? It looks extremely painful. Sometimes she even blurts out, "It's bleeding," and I wonder why she is harming herself. Please tell me this is normal and that she isn't crazy. Story 70. Screaming loudly at a bug or any situation short of someone getting hurt is excessive. Please either take action or leave. Story 71. Why does there have to be drama in relationships? I had my suspicions, but when I started checking threads where bisexual individuals discussed the differences between dating men and women, they often mentioned how dating women was much more intense, while dating men was more relaxed. Story 72. What's one thing women do that you just can't comprehend? The way they stick with harmful partners through thick and thin, for years and sometimes even for decades, but leave good quality men for the flimsiest of reasons, such as boredom, is baffling. Even if the guy loses his job or serves time in prison, they still do not leave him. By all accounts, my father was a poor choice for a husband. Violent, drunk, abusive, and low-earning. But despite this, my mother stayed with him for literally decades. On the other hand, I can't count the number of times I've heard of good quality men. Good fathers, individuals who attend church and do not use drugs, suddenly facing divorce or being cheated on by their wives. The reasoning behind willingly choosing a harmful male as the father of your children, leading those children to grow up depressed, impoverished, and with mental health issues has never made sense to me. Story 73. Gravitating toward drama and problematic situations. If they are not actively getting involved, they are gossiping about them. Story 74. You know the fashion and modeling industry, where women are often told they are too fat or too unattractive. It has little to do with men. Most men do not care about it at all. Women embrace it, often shaping their lives around it, and for many, becoming a model is their greatest aspiration. The industry is fraught with body shaming, sexism, and eating disorders, issues that men are often criticized for perpetuating. However, I assure you it is inherently toxic to women, and they seem to accept it. Story 75. Gossip is simply boring. It is inconsiderate to discuss other people's drama when they are not present to clarify or defend their side of the story. The main reason I cannot understand it is that it is just so dull. My eyes glaze over, and all I can think is how anyone can actually find this interesting. It is baffling to me. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.